Hello, I am Madeline, and I'm here to talk about Where Good Ideas Come From by Steve Johnson. Johnson writes about the environment that are conducive to innovation, or good ideas. He draws from natural sciences, intellectual history, and 21st century technology to demonstrate how innovation is obtained, developed, and how it progresses. He talks about the patterns of innovation. Ever wonder how some of the everyday items or ideas we use today came to be? For example, the flush toilet, the number 2 pencil, the amazing synthetic compound used for headaches known as aspirin, or that awful branch of mathematics you probably fell asleep through known as calculus. All of these innovations all began with a good idea that eventually evolved and progressed into something bigger and better and useful in the 21st century. Let's take a look at the flush toilet. The flush toilet was a result of a long development. There is no single name or date of the history for this invention. 2,800 years ago, a king in Crete had flushing water. A Chinese king had a toilet, and in ancient Rome there was a sewer system. In 1596, a flush toilet was invented for Queen Elizabeth. There was a period in time where only the rich had such luxury. The first official patent wasn't until 1775 to Alexander Cummings. But the good ideas do not end there. The invention of the toilet caused other great inventions such as toilet paper, toilet brush, and cleaning products. Johnson suggests good ideas are not eureka moments of one inventor. They are best served when people are in an environment where information flows free. Innovation is most likely to occur when ideas from different people and even different fields are rapidly banging against one another. Innovative institutions create settings where ideas are free to move and connect. Johnson provides 7 frameworks of fundamental factors needed for innovation. The 7 frameworks are adjacent possible, liquid networks, the slow hunch, serendipity, error, excitation, and platforms. Johnson says good ideas are not conjured out of thin air. They are built out of a collection of existing parts, and occasionally contracts over time. In the first section titled Adjacent Possible, Johnson believes that reinvention is the key to good ideas. Imagine a room with 4 doors. You go through one door that just leads you to another set of doors of mysteries. Through each of the doors in front of you lies the adjacent possible. Good ideas are like nurture, the infant incubator built entirely from used car parts and powered through a cigarette lighter. They're cobbled together from the pieces of things intended for another purpose, and they're limited by the pieces they consist of. When we consider ideas being ahead of their time, it means they are built using pieces that don't exist yet. Perfect example is the invention of the first programmable computer by Charles Babbage. Babbage was more than 100 years ahead of his time. All he needed was a vacuum tube and integrated circuit pieces that didn't exist yet. What is an idea? In Johnson's next section, Liquid Networks, he describes an idea as a network. It is a series of neurons firing in a new order to produce a thought. Neural networks evolve with continued use and exposures to new ideas. As this network evolves, the chances of 2 initially unrelated pieces colliding to produce something new and amazing increases. These types of collisions are most likely to occur in networks of people, not in isolation. In the 1900s, a researcher at McGill University devised an experiment in which he placed cameras to follow 4 microbiologists. He found that most breakthroughs occurred at weekly lab meetings, not the microscopes. Having other people to bounce ideas off resulted in ideas being refined and combined to create breakthroughs. Good ideas are rarely fully formed and ready to take on the world. Bringing your half-formed ideas to the liquid networks require that you remember them long enough to talk about them. In the third section, Johnson introduces the slow hunch. The most simple method of hunch cultivation is simply to write everything down. You can carry a notebook with you at all times and jot down ideas, quotes, reminders, and anything else that comes to mind. In Renaissance Europe, this was called a commonplace book, and any person with intellectual ambitions had one. The commonplace book was intended to cultivate thought and connections between disparate subjects. Programs today like DevonThink have intelligent search features to suggest connections. Hunches typically come from someone mentioning an idea that sparks a connection for you, or maybe you discover the idea on your own. Exploration after slowly building it into a good idea. This brings us to Chapter 4, Serendipity. Serendipity is when that nurtured idea blossoms through something you already knew and hadn't connected yet. Have you ever woken up from a dream with the answer to a problem? Neuroscientist Ulrich Wagner asked some subjects to solve a numerical problem with a hidden rule. He found that they were twice as likely to find a solution if given time to sleep on the problem. When you dream, your brain fires acetylcholine. The semi-random neural firings during REM sleep are your brain's way of exploring the adjacent possible. Error is the fifth pathway to good ideas. Trying and failing is an essential part of building a great idea. You learn from your mistakes. Johnson states that error can make you more creative. Charlene Nemeth, a psychologist studying free association, asked her subjects to evaluate the slides that demonstrated the color blue. She ran the experiment with actors who gave blatantly wrong answers. Charlene found that error introduced by the actor actually increased the chances of everyone else's answers to be more creative. Johnson states, good ideas are more likely to emerge in environments that contain a certain amount of noise and error. Gutenberg's printing press changed the world. Gutenberg took a great press and turned it into an engine for mass communication. This is an example of Johnson's next chapter, acceptation. Acceptation is commonly known in the evolutionary biology. It is when a feature was produced by natural selection for a function other than the one it currently performs, and was then co-opted for its current function. Another example of this is a bird's feathers. Feathers initially evolved for warmth, and just happened to be mostly symmetrical. That symmetry does not do anything to keep an organism warm, but when it comes to flying, symmetry is everything. Therefore, the tool evolved for a completely unrelated purpose is put to use and sculpted for the purpose of gliding through the air. Johnson's final framework about innovation is platforms. The giant platform that is driving our economy in the recent decade is the web. It is made possible by its platform stack. Platform innovation on the open internet is why three guys were able to build YouTube in a matter of months. These three gentlemen had the ability to build their good ideas on top of three existing platforms. Platforms encourage fast innovation like Twitter and YouTube. Where good ideas come from is about innovation and the space where innovation occurs. Johnson writes, some environments squelch new ideas, some environments seem to breed them effortlessly. The city and the web have been such engines of innovation because for complicated historical reasons, they are both environments that are powerfully suited for creation, diffusion, and adoption of good ideas. That's it for today. I hope you learned